And you know what that means. That's right, it's Saturday, and it's time for yet another edition of the original Sip and Snack. And let's go on a little trip, shall we? Let's go back to the beginning of Sip and Snack. Let's go back to October 23rd of 2014. Yes, we've been doing this segment almost 2 years now. So there's going to be a surprise for October 23rd's video. Mark my words. Something really cool is going to be happening. It's going to be in Orlando, so it's going to be something really awesome. So stay tuned for that. First off, let's go back to that first video. I did Twinkies, and we did peanut butter cream pies, and then I got to do something else. And it was basically the flagship of the video, the anchor of the video, and the reason I did the video in the first place. And that's because I was born in the early 80s. So basically, I have a lot of 90s nostalgia. And if you haven't noticed, lately it seems like a lot of people have a lot of 90s nostalgia. A lot of things from the 90s are coming back in droves. And everyone knows I love my soda. And when it comes down to it, there were a couple sodas that I really clung to. And a couple drinks that I really clung to in some situation. Now, I don't know if we're ever going to get back the other things that we've had back in the day. Like the awesome plastic bottles that just squeeze out the Squeeze-Its. I miss those. Obviously, the pizzerias. Granted, it kind of made me sick one time. That was one time. It wasn't a big deal. I love pizzerias. They're amazing. So much better than Doritos. And they're kind of Doritos for pizza fans. But still, that's another story for a different time. Now, the thing is, and take a drink for the people that are playing along with the game. Every time Owen says that's a story for a different time, take a drink. So, that being said, let's go back to that day. And that's when I finally was able to retry this amazing nectar from the 90s, Surge. Right? So we continue a year later, over a year later, on November 19th, Sip and Snack brought you a special Surge variant, Frozen Surge, because for a while, a very limited time, way too limited of the time, Burger King was doing Frozen Surge. So we did that one. And then there were two left. And of all the things in the 90s that I really enjoyed, one thing that was not soda was high C related, and that was Ecto Cooler. And thankfully, on July 16th, that finally came to Sip and Snack. So what am I saying? Well, you probably already know, considering the fact that you read the title of the video. It is August 6th. In just a mere few hours, less than 4 hours, we're going live to talk about Halloween Horror Nights 26, the elite of the Popcast Network, our 6th Halloween Horror Nights podcast, involving 26 as an event and the official induction to the elite of Ryan. But before I do that, I have this to do. Finally, Crystal Pepsi has come to the Popcast Network. Oh my god. I've been wanting to have this ever since I first heard that it was coming back. Let's do a little history lesson. And this is one of the dark skies moments. I'm going to look upwards. So, in 1992, Crystal Pepsi was issued out to test markets. Test markets in Providence, Rhode Island, Denver, Colorado, Sacramento, California, and Dallas, Texas. It got a very positive response. So on April 12th, 1992, it was launched. And it was launched nationwide in 1993. And one of the great things about it was the Right Here, Right Now campaign that was thrown into the Van Halen song, pretty much the same name. And that was the Super Bowl commercial that premiered on January 31st of 1993. So that song was everywhere. Van Halen was everywhere. And every time you heard Van Halen, you knew Crystal Pepsi was coming your way. By the fall of 1993, they pulled it. Don't know exactly why, they just did. They tried a reformulated version of it called Crystal from Pepsi, but that was short-lived. Alright? In 2005, Mexico introduced Pepsi Clear. It was a limited time only, and in 2008, on August 22nd, which is very close to 2 weeks from right now, in 2008, there were trademarks filed for Pepsi Clear and Diet Pepsi Clear. And then the online campaign began. Just like with Surge, just like the Surge movement. And we gotta thank the LA Beast. Now, Kevin basically took to his social medias and said he would do everything in his power to make sure Crystal Pepsi returned so we could have it, and I would have something like this in my hands right now. There were email campaigns, there were call-ins, they were always calling into Pepsi and trying to get Crystal Pepsi on shelves. There was change.org petitions, the whole 9 yards. There was even a billboard that was purchased to promote this. All right? And this was in LA, too. So, then Pepsi, in 2015, on June 8th, they finally said, you know what? They might be thinking about making a comeback. So, in November, there was a contest. And it was a contest through their new Pepsi Pass app. Their mobile app. I got it on my iPad, but still. And if you signed up for that Pepsi Pass, you could use your points to get things. Obviously, everybody has these gimmicks now. But one of the things about it was you would be able to be entered in a sweepstakes to win a 6-pack of Crystal Pepsi. So this is between December 10th and 11th. Now, you would get it in time for Christmas, but that was it. There wasn't going to be any more rollout. Everybody was mad. They were peeved. Everybody was angry at the fact that they were lied to. It's like, Crystal Pepsi's not coming back. And then, all of a sudden, out of the blue, in June of this year, Pepsi finally broke down and announced Crystal Pepsi was returning to Canada. Canada in July. And then it would hit America in August. So, unfortunately, all of my UK viewers here on the network, my apologies. Hopefully you can find it somewhere. And it's going to be sold for only 8 weeks. So, I remember watching game shows at my grandma's house, drinking cans upon cans of Crystal Pepsi. Now, everyone knows I'm a Pepsi guy. I've always been a Pepsi guy and always will be a Pepsi guy. So, let's do this. I've been waiting since the early 90s to have this delicious nectar again, just like with Surge. And now, with Surge, and then Ecto Cooler, and now Crystal Pepsi, Sir Owen's trifecta of drinks from the 90s is now complete. So let's take a sip, shall we? Open this delicious, hopefully delicious. Obviously, we're going to do it a couple ways. I got my palate cleanser here. So we've got this glass, and we're going to just do a little bit of a... For those of you who've never had Crystal Pepsi before, notice this looks a lot like a Sprite or a 7-Up. I can assure you, it's not that. It's not water for alcohol drinkers. It's not vodka. It's Pepsi, but it's crystal clear Pepsi. So it makes you think that you're drinking Pepsi, but you're not drinking Pepsi. But are you drinking Pepsi? You actually really are. So it's got kind of a citrus smell to it. I know that I've heard a little bit about people saying it's kind of like a citrus taste to it. I don't recall there being a citrus taste to it back when the original formula was out in the early 90s. But let's see what we've got. The first taste of Crystal Pepsi. It's 1993. 13 years. Let's do this. So good. Crystal Pepsi to me, at least the taste of it, kind of reminds me of caffeine-free Pepsi. Honestly, that's like the taste I get. Like kind of a citrus tinge to a caffeine-free Pepsi. But that's, like I said, this is just out of the glass, and we're going to drink it straight out of the bottle in a minute. So let's see what we've got. Not bad. That very familiar Pepsi aftertaste is there. So let's try it out of the bottle. And first I have palate cleanser. Sorry about the long history lesson. It's kind of like prolonging the inevitable of me drinking a Crystal Pepsi here in front of you guys. But let's give you a little bit of a backstory in case you weren't playing along at home. Or some of you, obviously, that have currently watching the Popcast Network, maybe you don't know what Crystal Pepsi is. I do work with a lot of people that are definitely not my age, so they didn't know what Crystal Pepsi was. But if you grew up in the 90s, like late 90s, you probably don't know what Crystal Pepsi is. But if you grew up in the 80s or like the beginning of the 90s, you probably know what I'm talking about, unless you were too young. But this is something I can assure you you'll like, especially if you're a Pepsi drinker. And obviously, you know I am. It's so good. So good. My God, I've waited so long. So like I said, this is how we do this here on the Popcast Network. We've done Surge. We've done Ecto Cooler. And now, we've done Crystal Pepsi. And there is actually a website, make sure I got this right. I think it's crystalpepsi.net, or .com. Yeah, .com takes you to a page of a bird. I was right, I think the first time it was crystalpepsi.net. And there is a Crystal Pepsi version of the Oregon Trail game that is absolutely incredible. And the website looks like it's a GeoCities on a CompuServe computer. Looks very 90s. The only thing missing from this thing is a guest book. And, oh my God, it has one. I just noticed that. This is amazing. And you can play the Crystal Pepsi Trail game, which is the Oregon Trail, but it's completely changed to Crystal Pepsi. Absolutely awesome. Very 90s. I love this. This is a great idea. So, kudos to Pepsi for finally knocking it out of the park. I know a lot of people were peeved at Pepsi about the distribution of Pepsi Perfect when Back to the Future was a thing last year, obviously, and a lot of people are mad about that. But I think Crystal Pepsi coming back for a limited time has made a lot of us out there very happy. Now, the only thing now would be, make this permanent. Don't make it limited. Make this permanent. I want to be able to buy Surge, Ecto Cooler, and Crystal Pepsi everywhere. I don't want to have to get them on Amazon Prime. I don't want to have to search every single store in an entire town. And I don't want to have to go to one random Speedway to get 20-ounce bottles. I want to have this available at all times, everywhere I go. That's the dream, ladies and gentlemen. That's exactly what that is. So, if you've never tried it before, go out to your local store and find yourself some Crystal Pepsi. It definitely is worth it. Like I said, it tastes like a caffeine-free Pepsi with like a citrus tinge to it. So that's the best way I can describe it. So that is Sip and Snack for this week. Join us for Sip and Snack next week. Random Tales should be back on Thursday. And hopefully I will be back on Saturday. If not, then I will be back on Thursday and Saturday. We'll see what happens with that. Scheduling has been kind of wonky lately, so it's no big deal. You will have Sip and Snacks regardless if it's from me or Random Tales. I can assure you that. Now, tonight at 9 p.m., if you're watching this video, it's probably still time. Or if not, it's probably available on the network or also available on iTunes right now as we speak, if it's after the fact. And that is our 6th Halloween Horror Nights 26 Popcast. And the official debut of Ryan to the elite of the Popcast Network. We're going to be talking all things Krampus. There was a little bit of snafu about something getting out because the official Universal Orlando annual pass holder mailer got out. And because it got out early, it lists the annual pass holder event nights. And we know all about Cobweb now. Well, at least we know the name. And we're talking about that tonight. We've also got questions from the live chat. One of the best live chats you could ever ask for here on the Popcast Network. So many awesome things coming. And I'll give you some more programming notes. Tomorrow versus your cryptic comment is Cave. That was a fun one. That'll be out on Sunday, as in tomorrow. And on Monday, Gaming with Ash returns. And Monday night, 11:30 p.m. is the WWE Raw Popcast. Wednesday night at 10 p.m., the Wednesday Wrestling Popcast. Talking Ring of Honor. We're talking TNA. We're talking all the indies. About Japan. The G1 Climax still going on. Cody Rhodes. There's all sorts of awesome things to talk about about, and that's going to be on Wednesday. Of course, like I said, Sip and Snack will return on Thursday, whether it's myself or Random Tales. You're going to have to wait to find out. And Friday, AJ's movie reviews is going to be Pete's Dragon and Sausage Party. Friday's officially, at least here, in most places I know, it is the first day of school. Yay! Which means we're getting even closer. Even closer. It's literally 6 weeks from yesterday, opening night for Halloween Horror Nights 26, which is a glorious thing. So, 39 days till I'm back in Orlando, so that's a great thing to think about. And who knows, maybe, just maybe, the Elite of the Podcast Network will join you next Saturday night for our 7th Halloween Horror Nights 26 podcast. Guess you're going to have to wait and see. So in the meantime, if you like these videos, tell your friends about them, leave a comment, subscribe, help spread the word about the Podcast Network, and you can like our Facebook fan page. It's under Podcast Network on Facebook. You can follow the network on Twitter at Podcast Network. Follow me on Twitter at SirOwenDisney. And if you have an idea for a Sip and Snack or any of the regular segments here on the network, SirOwenDisney at gmail.com. And last but not least, we have a merchandise store at Zazzle. Pick up your Podcast Network shirts, buttons, drawstring bags. There's a lot of really cool things. If you want to show your support, you really want to wear your support on your literal sleeves, then by all means, Zazzle.com/Podcast Network. So in the meantime, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I got to say about that.